These days, there's a lot of talk about vaccines and immunity, but do you really know how immunity works?
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun.
Welcome, students and curious minds alike. My name's Tarek, and today we're going to talk about the adaptive immune system. Your body remembers every battle it's ever fought, all the time. This kind of system is called adaptive immunity, and it's much more complex than what we usually explain when we talk about vaccines. So today, we're going to explain this topic in more detail. First, it's important to point out that this isn't your body's first line of defense. In fact, it only kicks in after the pathogen has gotten past your skin or mucous membranes, and after it's made it through your body's innate immunity. That kind of immunity is made up of generalist cells that will engulf anything foreign in the body. So if the pathogen survives those two layers of protection, then we activate our adaptive immunity, our strongest defense. The previous lines of defense your body uses are pretty generalist. They're super useful and very active, but there are some organisms that manage to trick them. So your body creates a tool to deal with these more specialized guys. What's most interesting about this is that since it's adaptive, your body will remember this pathogen, and in the future, it will be easier to fight it off. Sometimes you might not even show any symptoms at all. A great example of this is chickenpox. Many of us catch this disease when we're kids. But after your adaptive system figures out this pathogen, if you come into contact with the same disease in the future, your body will fight it off so quickly that you won't even have symptoms anymore. So how does this major defense system in your body work? Well, unlike the others, where we have several types of cells like basophils, neutrophils, and so on, here we only have one type of cell, lymphocytes. Lymphocytes come from a cell called a hemocytoblast, which is the stem cell that will form several types of blood cells in your body and is found in the bone marrow. So let's take a look at how this cellular family tree works. The hemocytoblast can give rise to two different cells. The myeloid progenitor, which will later become red blood cells, platelets, and the cells of the innate immune system, or it can turn into a lymphoid progenitor, giving rise to NK cells and T and B lymphocytes. And here we have a big difference. There are two types of lymphocytes, T and B. And even though they have the same origin, they mature in different places. B cells still mature in the bone marrow, while T cells mature in the thymus. After that, they migrate to the lymphoid organs and carry out their roles. During the maturation of both, they receive protein receptors on their membranes, which will determine when they become active. This part of their maturation is pretty complex, but basically we can say that they combine with more than 50 different proteins to create every possible type of receptor. That way, when a pathogen enters your body, at least one of these cells will have a compatible receptor to receive information from that invader. What's interesting is that lymphocytes remain inactive in your body, waiting to be activated by a specific protein that will fit into their receptor. When that happens, it'll start creating a series of clones, a process called clonal selection. After all, we need several cells to fight off that particular pathogen. Whether they're T or B lymphocytes, these clones will split into two groups: effector cells, which are responsible for finding the pathogen, and memory cells, which stay behind and keep the information in your body, so that if the same type of infection happens again, the response will be faster. It's worth noting that they're not eternal, but they do last a long time in your body. The effector cells of B lymphocytes are called plasma cells, and their main function is to produce antibodies. And you'll get a better understanding of what an antibody is by checking out the lesson we made about it. An interesting fact is that these cells have a large endoplasmic reticulum, since that's where proteins are made. And, well, antibodies are made of proteins. Now, when it comes to T lymphocytes, things get a bit more complicated. There are different types of effector T lymphocytes, actually a whole bunch of them, so many that not all of them have even been fully discovered yet. What matters is that they're responsible for attacking the pathogen except for one type, the regulatory T cell. In this case, the regulatory T cell is in charge of keeping the other lymphocytes from attacking your own body cells. After all, you produced a lot of receptors, and some of them might eventually get activated by your own body's cells. And the one who's going to stop that from happening is this little guy. If it doesn't work properly, that's when we get autoimmune diseases. Let's pause for a second to explain an important concept here, the MHC. This protein sits on the cell membrane and is responsible for identifying that cell. There are two types of MHC. MHC1, which is like your cell's identity, kind of like a fingerprint. Everyone has a different one. It's because of this little guy that we can't just donate organs to anyone, since your body uses this protein to avoid attacking anything that has it. Even someone with an MHC1 similar to yours, in the case of an organ donation, will need to take immunosuppressants for the rest of their life to keep your body from attacking it because of these small differences. MHC2, on the other hand, is a protein based on a piece of a pathogen that the cell has previously engulfed. In other words, it creates a description of the pathogen to let the other lymphocytes know what's being fought. Another important type of lymphocyte is the CD8 T lymphocyte, which is another type of effector T cell that has the ability to fight cells with intracellular parasites, like viruses, for example, and also to fight neoplastic cells. In other words, cells that have undergone some mutation and don't function properly, such as cancer cells, for instance. In both cases, MHC1 will stop being properly expressed, and the CD8 cell will be able to identify this change, thus attacking and eliminating these cells in different ways, such as with degradation proteins or through phagocytosis, for example. And of course, there are other very important effector T cells, but this lesson is just meant to give an introduction to the topic. If you're interested and want to learn a little more about this, leave a comment and I can provide sources and suggestions for your further study. I hope you enjoyed the video. Don't forget to like and share, and remember that we have a new video every week, so subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to always get the latest updates. Thank you so much.